100th episode. I wish we had like this soundboard, like and like clapping in the background. Yeah. Huge arena. That's what I feel like. Welcome back everybody to another episode. Our 100th episode of Polite as Fuck. For those that are new or just tuning in, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Erica.
And we've come so far, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it today. There's so many thoughts, so many memories I want to bring up, and then hit you with some tradition stuff. Hit you with it. Pow, pow.
Yeah. This is crazy.
I mean, we're almost at our 2-year mark, but we wanted to celebrate our 100th episode, the beginning, with talking about some of our favorite moments that we've gone through doing this podcast. I honestly am so proud of us for putting out an episode every single week. We have brand new episode every single week without a fail for almost 2 years. Nice. Clip that.
That'll be the cover.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, great idea. And so I feel like the best way to start is maybe if we have one favorite episode or a few different, clearly you've learned how to talk. A few different favorite episodes. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, this was actually really hard for me.
So hard.
I went through, I kept scrolling up and down, and I remembered, all the different things, and I feel like I love so many of our episodes for so many different reasons. Mm-hmm. And since I know what our other categories are, I, moved some around because they were, my favorites. But I was like, okay, I can put this for a different reason.
Yeah.
What I put down, I don't actually know if it was my favorite episode, but I think it was my favorite idea that we did, and it was the Be Bold challenge.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't know if anyone else did it with us, but I thought that it was really cool that both of us, created this bingo card, went out of our way to do it, and really pushed ourselves, I feel like, in a lot of ways that had we not been doing this podcast, we wouldn't have been let's make a bingo card and do these challenges.
Yeah, random challenges to try to get them all. I totally agree. I totally forgot about that. I don't know why that left my memory for a second. That's insane.
It's been almost 2 years.
I did really enjoy that concept, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can recreate something like that in the future. But I think a lot of people loved that, and then it pushed us, that's the whole point, is something fun for us to do.
Yeah, to encourage us to do something out of our comfort zone. We went to a run club together. We went and sat at coffee shops by ourselves without any distractions. We talked to people.
Random people.
Yeah. I think that was
that's how I got the job that I have.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Around this time, or in October, November, we went to the farmer's market and they passed out one of those fucking cards.
The free sangria.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I love that.
Crazy.
That's what happens when you put yourself out there.
What was your favorite?
So mine I got caught between two.
Okay.
Our first episode and camping thoughts. So our first episode... So we really wanted to do something special for our 100th episode, but there are so many thoughts and feelings and ideas that we have. Sometimes it's hard to narrow it down to be not just the question answer type situation. But our first episode is just gold. And I wanted to go back to listen to the gold to maybe come up with some inspiration, and I couldn't get through the first 5 minutes. I really had to skip through because it is just I know that we're silly starting. I mean, it's honestly, once I get going, I'm fine, but to do daily life and then to sit down and then talk to a camera is just it is really hard to start and end a podcast.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the start of your first episode is probably, I don't know if I can do it much worse than that. That was god awful, and our audio is super faulty, and it's just crazy, but I feel I got to know you so even the questions now, I know the answers, but I was just I think maybe in that moment, because we had really just started living together, it was just all of these questions that don't seem important, but are nitty gritty stuff, and it's just very special, and I love it. And then camping thoughts is iconic. I mean,
truly,
I think as far as like a whole episode from start to finish, that's my favorite because I loved your idea of replaying it back and doing like the live reaction because I was like, I remember even while I was like fucking on one, sitting in that camping tent recording, being like, this is trash. This is so bad. Trash. And like my face, I like knew, like my high face is like, and so I'm like, this is flies. Not the flies. It was just not good. And then we just ended it, and then the kid is crying and all of these things. And then to be able to like turn it into something else and just like have it be, I don't know, that was my first one. I put Camping Thoughts and then the first episode because they're fucking priceless. I love them both.
That was what I was torn between too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's just so good.
That clip is also not that like we like went viral, but like that really blew up on TikTok. And it's funny. Like I'm like, this is like the epitome of us.
It really is.
Yeah.
Just like random, like just random.
Just so, yeah. And I feel like we both love camping. We both like, it was like a space that we're like the most ourselves, authentic in.
Yeah.
We were just so unguarded and just raw.
And having such a good time and being able to capture that and not like the same setting that we're always in.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Oh my God.
That one.
I loved it. Do you have any like embarrassing episodes or like, I don't know, episode... I do have one, but for like a specific reason. But I do think that there are like a few like embarrassing moments for sure. But my most embarrassing like episode is the religious episode, the Mormon episode. I fucking hate that episode. I hate that episode. Like I hate me in that episode because I'm such an idiot. I swear I grew up Catholic. My mom called me and was like, "What the living fuck? Like you know nothing, and have I raised you wrong?" Like, she was so disappointed. I can't even imagine what my dad would do if he heard that episode. So, I just am so embarrassed. I think I was just so caught off guard by you and your sister.
The dynamic.
The Mormonness in the room. I was, like, blown away that you would, like, say something and you'd be like, yeah, remember when we got, like, terrorized at church camp and we had to walk 12,000 miles in a bonnet? And I'd be like... I had to pray sometimes, I think. So I was like all mixed up and it was
that was also like our third episode or something. Like that was like really early on. So I feel like we still didn't have our like
groove yet.
And we had never interviewed anyone before. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, it's Savannah, so obviously I'm like comfortable and you're comfortable. Same, yeah. But like
I think maybe. And then like maybe because I didn't prep enough or I should have like, I don't know, opened a Bible or something. And I can't. It's like one of the ones that I really cannot go back and listen to. Even the clips sometimes I'm like, scroll up. Can't even look at myself.
Oh, that's good. Well, I did listen to the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader one recently and I was like, wow. Because literally the second half of that episode, we just don't look up the answers. I say an answer and we're like, okay. And then we go to the next one. And I was looking them up while we were listening to it and we were wrong.
Erica comes up and she goes, yeah, the one that you ask what the smallest fish is and you say a minnow and you say right. And I'm like, yeah, is it a minnow? She goes, no!
It's not.
It's not.
But that was just like silly. I will say, I don't know that if I can listen to the dating advice with fuckboy Trey. I don't know if I can listen to that. And it's just like, I think it's like awesome that he did it and that I asked him and like what a crazy thing. I've literally never spoken to him again. Yes.
Wonder what happened.
Random man in our home. But like
I know.
Yikes.
I love
that. Was also an early on move.
At least he wasn't our first. That would have been funny.
Crazy. Random Hinge boy.
Oh, God. Random man. Yeah. I'm trying to think of just like some other, I mean, there's always fucking embarrassing moments. I don't think, it's more so like if I get the facts wrong on something.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the whole point of like just talking and putting it out there and being authentic, and this is what you get.
We really have. It's literally our like journal.
Yeah. Do you have the hardest episode to get through?
I put the kids episode. That one I was so anxious about recording. Like the to have or not to have, I think is what we called it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I don't actually, like, I know how I feel, but I also feel like by putting it on the podcast, it makes it more, like, permanent, which I know isn't, like, true, but it felt that way to me. And I also felt like I was spiraling a lot in that episode because it's like, yeah, I say that, like, I want them, I think, but I don't actually know, but, like, we're talking about a certain thing, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, and, like, what it'll do to your body, or, like, I don't know. Yeah. That one was
it's rough for me. It's a really fucking hard topic.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I'm very proud of us for being very, like, open and even ending with, like, yeah, here's, like, a percentage now. I don't know if that changed. And I think that's what people like, and I hope that people that listen to that episode can relate to that. Is like, it is really hard. But I can relate to that one. I will have to say for me, not necessarily, if I had to choose an episode, I would say Dear Mom. But I think any conversation with parents that we have, and like, I think we've been really tame about it just because of like life stuff. Like when parents or family do come up, like where it's like, it's just tough. It's tough because like we are so close with our family, and a lot of our family members listen to this podcast that it's just hard.
Yeah. The mom one, that was on, it was between the mom or the kids one, because I was like, that was rough.
Yeah.
Not in, like, a negative way. It was just, that was hard.
It's emotional. That's what I'm saying, is, like, anytime we talk about family stuff, that it's not bad. I mean, it could be bad, but if it's, like, just super emotional or, like, just feeling some type of way about it, it's really hard for me to get through.
Yeah, it also feels like, I don't know, like, how much I don't know how much I want to, like, protect in that, like, in what I'm sharing, because it's, like, a very personal relationship with someone, and, like, I don't want to put them on blast or whatever. Yeah. It feels very delicate.
Definitely. I don't even know how people, like, really navigate that to share how much it is they share, like, on the other podcasts that I listen to, too. It's very, like, interesting to navigate.
Yeah.
Because I have no problem talking about myself and what the fuck I'm doing. All the fuck-ups I'm doing. But if it's, like, somebody else's, not necessarily fuck-ups, but their business, it's like, I don't know how much I want to share.
Yeah.
I think any topic like that is really hard to get through. I think another one that I thought of, too, is, like, our weed and alcohol episode. I think about that one a lot, just because I think it's just something we're both going through, as a lot of like 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds are going through, just like their relationship with substances, whether it's like good or bad. I don't know if it's a good thing, but like whatever it is, there's some type of relationship with it, and it's just, that is like hard to talk about sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Still don't really know my relationship with it.
Yeah, it's just like it changes all the time, all up and down. So I do like how it's there for me to go back to. It's just when we go to talk about it, or having an episode where it was nothing but that, I was like, wow, this is kind of hard to get through, because we do try to like be as like vulnerable as possible. And so I think in the moment it's really easy for me to talk about anything, and then we also spend time editing it, and then spend time cutting clips, and then it's posted, and then like a week later, even after going through all of it, now everybody is listening to it, and then we're receiving their feedback. It's like, oh wow, there's a lot of this.
Yeah, it's a lot for sure.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite location we recorded at? We've done a few.
I think Sunset Cliffs was my favorite.
Same.
I really enjoyed that morning. I really liked that episode and everything that we talked about. It was really nice.
Yeah.
I really
that
liked
was my same one too. Yeah. Getting up early with the sunrise. Yeah.
And you can't beat that location. You really can't.
And also going there early is really nice because no one's there.
Yeah.
Because there's not a sunset.
Yeah. It's not called sunrise. What about any other like favorite moments from the podcast? Do you have any ones to share?
It's hard because it's like so many moments. I feel like I've laughed the hardest I've ever laughed on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like whether anyone else is laughing or not, I don't really care. It's like, I mean, I hope they are, but you know.
Yeah.
I think those are my favorite times. And I know we were going to talk about like things that we learned, but I feel like that ties into like my favorite moments, and I'm not going to look at you when I say it. It's like, if we didn't have this, sometimes I think about, like, the intentional time that you and I have together. And it's like,
Ooh,
you're... Like, our lives have changed so much in the last 100 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been, like, a constant for us. And I feel like allowed our friendship to continue to grow because we're checking in and, like, having dedicated time together every single week. Like, don't look at me. Anyway, I'm just really thankful for it. And I feel like the, like, consistency and, like, yeah, the consistency for the podcast is great, but, like, the consistency for our friendship and, like, time with you, I think is, like, the most important thing for me.
Definitely. I'm not even gonna repeat everything you just said because I feel the same way. I mean, it truly is, like, something so special. I really can't say anything else else. I will start bawling. I've already cried on, like, so many random things today, so this is... Yes, I'll explain. Aww. It's so dumb. It's not even... It's like, I know I'm about to start my period soon because it's, like, the dumbest shit. But, yes, I love how funny we are on the podcast. We're great, but, again, like, to your point, it is, like... I've never... And I was going to talk about this when we talk about, like, family traditions, but, like, because we moved around so much, like, I never... Like, my parents don't really have, like, major groups of friends. Like... Mm-hmm. When I tell them, like, friend group, I don't think they comprehend
30 plus people.
The amount of people that are, like, everybody is so comfortable with. I just don't think that was ever really a part of who they are. And then moving around so much, like, I've had, like, friends, but never some, like, not never, but, like, not a lot of closeness and, like, I hate to use the word, like, intimacy because I don't mean it like that, but there is this sense of, like, shedding off literal, like, my whole skin to have someone see, and there's not a lot of people that can do that, and, like, I think that, oh my god, I can't even get through it.
I can't look at you.
Like, you're that person, and so to be able to get to where now I can't even
We're both facing away.
You're on YouTube, people are like, just look at each other. But there's not a lot of people that I can do that with, so thank you.
No,
and this is the space, and, yeah, love you. Okay, great.
I love you so much. Just as, like, a side note, because I think it's funny, but, like, I literally don't know if you care or not, but I feel like if I'm not home one night or something, I'm like, I need to tell Ellie. Like, I need to tell you, like, where I
immediately look at where you are.
Oh, I'm constant, right? Zooming in, I'm like, is she at work or is she near
walking?
it?
Is she at the... Where? Oh, she's en route. Okay.
Literally.
You're like my little sim. It's great.
Yeah, so anyway. Okay.
No, I love it. I did just want to... Just one other thing that I wanted to talk about, just because I love this episode so much, is our hookup and hangovers episode.
Yeah.
I just, like, loved how, like... I mean, obviously we don't have to make everything about alcohol, but, like, you're so quick with games and, like, wanting to play a game, and for us to do that, that's also one of my favorite reels, is, like, the mic falling on you, and then, like, the compilation, thank you, yeah,
really
but
well.
it was just, like, everything back to back, and then the ending of Cheers to Anal gets me every time. If I could make that a voice, like a text message with it, some ringtone, if I could do something with it, I would, because I just think it's iconic. And then just, like, sometimes I forget what I say or what we say, and so when people reach out and are like, oh my god, this had me, like, dead on the floor, like, one of the things that you said about the guy doing the splits on your date, like, it's just, like, I forget until people bring it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's so fucking funny. And then fucking creepy bowling guy, like, it just, like, it just cracks me up so much. And then my sister calls me one day, and I pick up the phone, and it's, like, literal tears, and I'm like, oh my god, are you okay? She's like, no, I'm dead. Like, I am dead on the floor laughing at your podcast right now. And I'm like, you gotta tell me what you gotta give me a little more of this recent one, or what's happening. She goes, like, you have to get this on a shirt, quote, dick tastes like dick, just give it to me anyway. And I'm like, wait, who says that? And she's like, you. I literally had to go back, and it's those moments where, like, other people get to come in on this like so like special moment that we have that has been such a blessing too.
No, it's so fun. You crack me up obviously all the time on the podcast, but when I watch it back, I'm like, Ellie is so funny.
Super.
Like,
I love editing sometimes because I will replay the same thing over and
just
over.
like keep laughing.
But it sucks because it's like we don't clip every moment of it for social media. So like in this moment, I know that there are so many that I'm like constant replay. But if you were to ask me like, okay, name 5, I'm like, there was this like it's so hard to do that.
I know, you have to go back and listen to all of them.
Yeah, just have to do it. And remember every single moment like we do.
We do have the timestamp notes, which I feel like if I went back and like looked through those from the episode, I'd be like, oh yeah. That was funny.
Oh my god, it's just great.
What have you learned? Anything else you want to add to that?
I feel like the main like thing that I took away just from having a little bit of reflection on this today before recording is that it's as hard or as fun as you want it to be, as is anything in life. But like, I just have like, I don't know, there's so many things in life that I feel like I have to do that is like something that you do every week or like every day, like a swim practice or a going to the gym, or like every week you have to go to therapy and all of these things, which is kind of similar to what this is. And it feels like, oh, I have to do it. I have to do it. But it's like in this space is I show up and I like have such a good time and I have so much fun. And so I think
it like changes my whole day.
It really does.
Anytime we do it. Yeah.
And so every time that I come into this space, I never fails to take away like life, and anything that you go through is as hard or as fun as you want it to be. Like, and how you show up to that space.
Yeah.
And I think doing this podcast is, and being dedicated to do it and put a new episode out every week has really like impacted me in that way of like, wait, things can be like fun even if they have to be done.
Yeah. I think sometimes too when it's like, crap, we have to do like 3 episodes because like one of us is going to be gone or whatever, and it's like can feel stressful in the moment of like coordinating those things. Still like sitting down to do it every time is like
the best.
Yeah.
Like a full therapy session.
Holy.
I can't wait until you're like actually clinically like a therapist so that I can say that.
Therapy session.
Yeah. Well, guys, not the end, but
no, please keep listening.
Keep listening. I love the podcast. I love you guys. The listeners are the best. Family, friends, we love you.
Thanks for reaching out. I think I sent all those to the album so we can post any, but like, I think it's really neat when people like randomly text us when they're listening, or like, I'm laughing, or this made me think about something, or whatever, like just knowing, because it seems really weird that I'm talking to this camera right now, but I know that there's someone on the other side who is listening.
Yep. But to piggyback off that, we kind of wanted to continue this episode with talking about some of our family traditions that we had growing up and how they've evolved since being an adult, and any maybe like new traditions that we've adopted.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we're going to wrap up our 100th episode.
Crazy.
Yeah, I feel like this is, I can't wait to hear yours, because I'm sure this is going to be a mixture of weird Mormon things.
I feel like we kind of have talked about...
Every Wednesday, we had to jump up and down and spin around 4 times.
Yeah, basically. I feel like we've talked about some of them on, like, the holiday episode. Like, I did love our, like, family holiday traditions growing up. Like, the day after Thanksgiving, would always go cut down our Christmas tree, which was really fun. And, like, during, like, Christmas time, we had, like, an advent calendar where you, like, pull things out of the pockets, put it on the tree. Thought that was cute. Easter, you have Easter baskets. The classic things. Mm-hmm. I think there was stuff tied to religion in terms of, like, traditions, but one of them that I really appreciated was, like, every Monday we had family night, which I think there was always, like, we would have a prayer, sing a song, have a lesson. So there were all those components. But the overall piece of, like, having that time as a family, and, like, when we would do games, and, like, we would play games for family night and stuff, I feel like that's why I like games, because it's, like, that was, like, a very fond memory for me of, like, a rare time when we were all together doing something fun. Because, like, even on Sundays when we were, as, like, the day of rest or whatever, we weren't all, like, hanging out together all the time. So I feel like that was a good one. And then we would always once a month, have dinner at my grandparents' house to celebrate whoever's birthdays were for that month. And they got to pick the dessert.
There were so many of you.
Literally, there's like
2 for every month.
24 grandchildren or something.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Oh, Lord. I agree. I mean, I know I just, like, shat on myself for all of my not knowing anything about church. But I think a lot of our, like, traditions, when you move around so much, there's not a lot of, like, traditions you have.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to, like, church, we did try to, like, there would be periods where it'd be, like, every week we'd be going to church or doing that. So I appreciated that. And then with that, the same things, like, you had your Christmas, Easter, all of that stuff. And then as far as, we kind of, like you said, we already talked about this, but a lot of, like, the churchy type traditions happened during Christmas, and that was just more so, like, putting up the tree, doing the decorations. I told you guys one of my favorite traditions that I have is putting up Christmas lights with my dad, like, a few days after Thanksgiving. It's like, it is, like, something in my, like, I just think it's so, because it, like, just started as, like, one of those things where I was like, no, your left side, and, like, hand me that one, and now it's just, like, it's just so funny, like, now I can look back and laugh finally, but, I can't ignore, like, the church traditions.
Yeah.
I think a big tradition that we had, like, in our family was, like, our dinner time. We had a lot of, like, TV shows we would watch together, so even though if we're not eating dinner at the same time, we all kind of, like, ended up in the living room. And I feel like when I was younger, like, before even, like, Sophia and Isabella can remember, we would watch a lot of that 70s show, and I remember my parents being like, they would laugh, but they would be like, I can't believe, like, you're watching this with us, blah, blah, blah. And I love it because I look back now and I'm like, yeah, and you wonder why I smoke so much fucking weed. Go on now. But then it just kind of transitioned into, like, my family is a huge Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Like, we will still watch Jeopardy to this day. Like, when I lived at Tuli's house, like, it was constantly, like, as soon as it hit 7, that's when Jeopardy was on. And then as I got older, it morphed into The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. So I remember, like, starting Game of Thrones in high school, like, with my family. So I think that's funny because I'm sure people are like, they can relate to that, the, like, end of night, dinner time, watching a TV with your family, like, all on the couch.
I love that.
And then I think the other, like, one that I can really, like, think of is, like, our family vacations or some sort of, like, summer event. We'd always try to do some sort of, like, summer vacation, and I know that's not, like, crazy abnormal, but we really did try to do something like that every summer.
You reminded me, because we have, like, we have our condo week that we have at the lake. Another one that's unique to my family is we all did a kids triathlon together every year.
So weird. I can't.
But it's a good memory. It's a good tradition.
I just, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's because we moved around a lot, but we did not really have, like, I think maybe everywhere we moved, we wanted to try something new. Like, I've done things with my family, but I don't know if it necessarily, like, carried on through, like,
your whole life.
Yeah, tradition. Like, I know, like, even just random things, like, whenever my dad would come home from deployment, like, we would all get together to make some sort of, like, sign together. Regardless of, like, how old we were. So there's, like, random ones like that, like, sprinkled in from childhood.
Yeah, but those are good.
Yeah. So
what do your traditions look like now?
I definitely think the TV piece has, like, carried on.
Yeah.
I love ending the day with, like, even a comfort television show. I've definitely tried to adopt the vacation piece and like really try to keep that going, because I think that's like the only time that the family is all together. So I really try, like there are so many times where I'm like, I can't afford it, or I can't go, or I'm busy, or I made other plans, or I don't want to go back to Florida in the middle of summer, it's fucking hot as balls and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I really try to like make time for that, because I think it's a good tradition to have. And it's like fun to say that you've done that almost not every year, but like you've done that. There's like pictures, you know, you can see over like growing up over time, like how you've changed and how it's like things really just stay the same. I think those are like the two that I can really see how they've like evolved, like started from childhood and evolved to like who I am now. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like the condo piece, I've always, even like since moving away from home, go back home for that week to like have time with my siblings. I think it's evolved because now that we're older, we've planned like sibling trips, like just for us to have time together. And it's not that like, obviously I love my parents, but like that dynamic is so much different without them. And it's just good to have like quality time, I feel like, with just us. So I loved how that has turned into a thing more recently. I think that our holiday traditions, not that they've vanished, but they are very different. And like really the only holiday I go home for now is like Christmas. And my parents are divorced, so I mean, you know, it's like it's not the same as it was. And it's fine, it's still good. But one thing that I, since living here, have adopted is like for Thanksgiving we have Friendsgiving, and that has been like a new highlight for me. Of like even in my family, Thanksgiving was not really the most consistent for us, and this like I always bring the rolls now and we all get together and it's fun and everyone's like, it's usually like the day before Thanksgiving, so if people have plans they can go do those, but I just love that time is kind of set aside for friends and like celebrating that community.
I mean, other than being fucked up, I loved it. Other than being completely freaking...
That's true. We almost missed it last year.
I've never heard so much before in my life.
Horrible.
Yeah. So the one time that I went was, but that was more on my part than anybody else. It was my fault than anybody else's. But yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I just appreciate, like, I don't know, I really think that there's not a lot of things that I like about being an adult, but the one thing that I do is how, like, we're all still kids at heart, and we all miss, like, the comfort of being a kid, and so we find ways to, like, be kids again, like, planning trips and going to, like, Mexico, and, like, doing these things that are just, like, to go play on the beach, like, that's fun, like, that's great, and then to incorporate, like, a time, like, buffet style, everybody walk up, grab your food, we all sit down, everybody's sitting at the table together, like that is such a fun like family piece to have to the family that you've picked. Very special.
It is. Yeah. Do you feel like there's traditions that you want to like make, or?
Well, I think I've kind of created, since being an adult, outside of like the traditions that I like grew up with, I think that there are some that maybe like I've incorporated and I have now that I think are important. I think besides the whole like television, I've really like got back into reading, and I know that's like not, I know like hobby and like habit is not the same as tradition, but I feel like it is a little bit in this like sense of like replacing it one with another, and like I don't know, having it a little bit more a part of my life. And I think that's just important to bring up. So I've been reading a lot more in my adult life.
I love that.
My mom never really liked holidays or birthdays or anything. And I mean, like, there was this sense of celebration, but I think that's why we spent so much time and energy in summer, is because, and that's why I say, like, 4th of July was my favorite, or is my favorite holiday, because it's less so of, like, the actual holiday than it is about just, like, spending time with family, because I knew I wasn't going to get this, like, crazy extravagant thing. So I think one thing that I've incorporated since leaving home, and I really try, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I love decorating and really feeling, like, the seasons. When I was working at an elementary school, like, I dedicated so much time preparing the classroom to be like spring and then winter and then summer and then fall and have it like match all of these things. And I think that is a tradition in itself. And so I try to incorporate that like in my life now. Like I know it's annoying, but like I love that the season is changing into fall because like it's like the decoration. I get to like be like, I want to suffocate in Halloween, and then I want to suffocate in Thanksgiving, and then I want to suffocate in Christmas, sort of. But, like, you know, like, I love that. And when things change and, like, I see, like, the Valentine, like, I love that tradition, and I feel like I've adopted it a little bit. And then how I can see that evolving is I will be that house on the block that has, like, I want to have, like, the 12-foot skeleton, and then I want to have, like, the huge fucking Christmas lights that, like, fucking go off, like, to music, you know, it's like, and then I want, like, you know, the door hanger for, like, Valentine's Day. Like, I don't care if it's cheesy. I think it's fun, and that's how I kind of, like, see it now, something that was definitely not super, like, a part of my childhood that I've adopted, and then that's how, like, I want it to evolve. I think that was, like, the big one that I was like, nah, I have to say it. I have to talk about fall at least once every podcast until Halloween.
Until the fall is over.
Until fall is over, which won't happen until January, so.
Even when we're in winter.
Even when we're in winter.
I love that. No, I think that's great. I would love to decorate more, honestly, in our house, but I'm like, we have nowhere to store anything.
Yeah, that's like the only hard thing. We would love to decorate, but then our backyard would just be bins. Just bins of storage of just random shit. Which it kind of already is. So
just don't open that closet. When you texted me that you knocked over the pot, I'm like, I know I put that thing in there so like precariously because I didn't want to rearrange all the shit in there to like get to where it's like in a good spot. So it's just like gently placed on the pots. So yeah, anyway.
No, I think those are the only like two that I had worth mentioning. Do you have any like traditions that you hold besides Friendsgiving? Because I feel like that's kind of one that you've evolved in. I also feel like I'm actually answering the question for you. The one tradition that I feel like I've noticed you have is like your races that you do. You have like one every year.
Your traditions are
I'm gonna tell you what you're doing now.
Yeah, I think that is actually, I'm glad you mentioned it. I think that's a good one that I'll incorporate, like having a yearly race that I do, that I train for. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like I want to bring back, and I don't really know how to do this, but I really did love having like a once a month dinner with like my extended family, and maybe not like, I'm not obviously gonna go up to Reno to do that, but I think planning, even with like the chosen family here, of like the first Sunday of every month, like we have a dinner together or something, or like do something, you know, like I know we all get together and like we have our book club and we have these other things that are great. They're not consistent, but like I feel like a tradition is that like more consistency and like repetition of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but that was one thing I was thinking about for like what would I want like future traditions to be. And
that was on mine too, like kind of going back to what I was saying when I was crying earlier, of, like I didn't grow up with like, I mean my parents did have friends. It's just like I don't know how much importance they put on a lot of their friendships. There are a few, but it wasn't like, you know, like my mom was solely focused on like her work and raising her family. We had so many fucking kids and like grown-ups in the house that it like took a lot to run a household.
Yeah.
And so, and like, you know, my dad was deployed, so I'm sure that, you know, the military is its own freaking whatever. And so for mine was like, how do I incorporate like being a better friend and like maintaining like my adult like woman relationships. I mean, not even woman, but I just say that because I think it's just a little bit more important to me. And so I didn't really have any idea. It was just like maintain, do better, make tradition, make fire. So I'm stealing your tradition and putting it on mine, as I do all the time.
Thanks for telling me mine and then stealing mine.
Stealing yours. That's what I do.
I love it. I feel like, yeah, it's hard because when I was thinking of the ideas for this episode, I looked up, like, what tradition means, like, the actual definition.
Yeah.
And it's, like, very, like, based in religion. It's based on, like, something that's, like, passed down from generations. But I'm also, like, to me, tradition is something that you do maybe more of, like, a ritual or, like, it's, like, this repetition of things. Like, I feel like recording the podcast weekly is, like, tradition.
Yeah.
That's, like, what we do.
Yeah.
It's just become... It's not necessarily a habit anymore, or routine. It's, like, more than that.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of things in my life that I, like, if I'm using that as my definition, I feel like I have a lot of traditions or, like, things that I try and do. Like, every week I plan my week out and write in my planner and, like, thinking about how I want that to evolve. I think, like, if and when I, like, have... like a long-term partner, like having something in that, because I feel like of what I've learned in this, like doing this podcast with you is the like consistency piece and like having that dedicated time with someone and like not to shit on my parents that I didn't see them having like date nights every week or something. And it's like, I mean, I don't know because I've never raised children how hard that is to like have that time, but like prioritizing that and making that a thing.
No. It's possible. People do it.
Yeah.
Just, we didn't see it.
Yeah.
It was out there, I think.
I think it exists. I've seen it in the movies.
Yeah.
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Hey, who are you?
Trump, when he was saying that he saw...
Fucking eat cats and dogs, or whatever the fuck he was saying. Like an idiot.
I saw someone say it on the television, so it's true.
And all your supporters are like, yeah, he's saying it on the television. It's true. Oh my God, fuck me.
That was the most infuriating thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then I had the TV playing on it felt like hours, but at least a full hour after that on like the report until Erica was like, I must turn this off. I can't. Ellie, I love you, but it has to shut up.
I can't hear another word.
I don't even think I was here. I was like in the kitchen or in my room and you're like...
Because it's like, as much as I'm trying not to listen to it, I'm still, like, listening and then getting upset that this is what's happening. Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. As to your point about traditions, I understand, and I think that's why I said, like, the reading piece is because more so, like, yes, routine, habit, yada, yada, but tradition is, like, even if it may be, like, routine, like, it's just deeper, like, on a personal level, like, it just means something, like, it really does like fill my soul up. So like when I talk about like going and or having like a Sunday dinner or like brunch or something with friends or like having people over, making time to read every day, or doing the podcast or putting up decorations, like it just feels so like soul filling that's what makes it like tradition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. Soul filling.
Soul filling.
Aww.
Is that weird though? No? Okay, we like
it. Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about it too much. You know what I was just gonna say?
What?
We should hug.
Sitting down. I already foresee me knocking this water bottle into you.
I see my hand
somehow
going
like touching your boob.
That's the clip that gets me. The bosom clip. I fucking love when we talk about our hug from the half marathon and you turn to me and you say, yeah, it's like you're in my bosom. And I have never heard you say that word. And I don't know why I'm waving my finger around like this.
And I've never said it again since.
that clip also has me...
I don't know why. Time. It's like the moment we record, my language changes. Because when I was editing the last episode, when I say sanctioned pumpkin party,
it has to be a sanctioned event.
Like, what? I've never said that before.
Honestly, I know. It's like my brain is like, must be smart. And so it throws these like random words.
Here's the word we have.
And it's like out of context, like doesn't make any sense. And that's why I can't speak, because as I'm trying to talk, I'm also trying to tell my brain to shut up. So it's just like back and forth. That's why words come out like, because I'm like, I can't speak. It's just so dumb.
It's really hard.
Goodness. It's so hard to have a podcast.
Honestly, though. Try it. Or record yourself. Because it's hard.
It's so hard. Like, ending on a traditional note, like, I just look forward to recording whenever we get the chance to record. And then, obviously, on Wednesdays when our new episodes come out, it's just, like, so fun and refreshing, and it's so nice to have like a space to be myself. And I love now, I think at the beginning I was a little hesitant to tell people that we have a podcast, and now I just feel like so much more open to like sharing it with people, because I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Consistent queens.
Yes. Ooh, I love that.
Thanks.
Love it.
Just hold it up.
Hell yeah.
Well, you know where to find us, guys. Polite as Fuck Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, text us. Apparently it says send us a text.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe that will be gone by this episode. I don't know what that is. But anyway, we love you. Happy 100. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.